Drawing, obviously. Not sure what else I'd really be doing here, but as you can see underneath my piece of paper here, my brown toned piece of paper, I have a Batman Year One artist edition as inspiration because I'm going to be drawing this version of Selina Kyle, this David Mazzucchelli Batman Year One version of Selina Kyle that only was in maybe I think 3 pages or something like that. But I'm just going to do like a pretty simple kind of headshot when I'm working on these tone pieces of paper, as I've been doing lately, the last few months, for commissions and such. It's kind of fun because you're kind of working against something that's other than white, and it just kind of like has like an instant sort of interest on it, and you can play around with that by adding like white paint. So I actually just finished a commission recently. I did a quick a little Mr. Freeze and Nora action, and this is sort of like the idea behind it, where you kind of use the underpainting, if you want to call it that, this color, and then anything you put on there, white or black, kind of just pops, but specifically white. So that is kind of the approach that I'm going to go with for this headshot. This is going to be sort of like not like completely sketchy, but probably not like like a full on cover quality. What this is for is when you sign up for my Patreon at the $100 level. I believe that's the hot tier. There's a cool tier, there's a stay warm tier, there's a hot tier, and then there's a fourth tier that is for the real crazy people, the diehards out there. But this tier, one of the sort of perks that comes along with the tier is that you get a 8.5 by 11 drawing from me in the mail. Original drawing made just for you every month. It's pretty cool. Along with that, you get a 60-minute Zoom call. We work on your work, things you want to improve. I try to give you as much honest feedback as I can. Just sort of like a one-on-one sort of like art mentorship kind of program. And then you get all the perks that come with all the lower tiers as well. So it's a pretty cool tier. And this is one of the things that comes along with it. So I like to have some fun with the drawings that I send out, doing some sort of characters and pieces that maybe I might not get asked to do a commission of, or somebody that I've been wanting to draw. And so I use this as an opportunity to kind of do that. So as always, questions, comments, leave them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll eventually run out of things to say. I could talk, but not that much. So yeah, like I said, I just have Selina Kyle here as inspiration. Her particular Batman Year One design. Just kind of trying to find the pose here that I like. I want her like this. Let's see. Maybe I want her to fit on the page a little more. If you've ever seen me do a drawing from start to finish, you might be aware that I erase quite a bit. Quite a bit. For me, drawing is more about like finding the drawing than it is, putting the perfect lines down. but when it's recorded, it's kind of interesting to watch it back, like sped up, because I just see myself put lines down, erase stuff, put lines down, erase stuff, and just kind of go back and forth like that. It's kind of interesting. The cool thing about this tone paper is that the, the the lead kind of like just bleeds into it, or absorbs. The paper sort of absorbs it, so it just, you could keep erasing on it, and because it's so much darker, you can't really see it, all the underdrawing. So it's really easy to erase on. Some part of me wants to draw her like a sort of an up angle, an upshot angle, as if it's kind of referencing her looking out the window. But sometimes sketch to final version, things take a turn sometimes, and there's happy accidents. All right. Got some comments in here. Is that a print of an original page? This is from the Batman Year One Artist Edition. I've made several videos about this one on my channel. It's a really great sort of investment for sure. The all-seeing Ian says Frank Cho erases a lot too in his videos. I always think, no. Yeah, sometimes from an outsider's perspective, you could get attached to a certain idea, but the artist has their own vision. Sometimes it's, good decisions they're making, and sometimes it's not. But yeah, watching it back, it's always kind of funny. Jas and Wiki says, "Hey Thomas, new viewer here. Found one of your rough cut videos by chance and been enjoying all of your look backs behind the comic book greats. Had no idea you did live process stuff. Keep it up." Oh, awesome! Thanks, Jas and Wiki. I appreciate it. Yeah, every now and then I do go live, and I've been doing that a little bit more often on here. I usually go live on Instagram, but lately I've been going live more on YouTube as well. And then I've been experimenting with Whatnot, although I haven't been on there in a few weeks, I think. So if you're on Whatnot, though, follow me over there. I'm trying to make that more of a regular thing. You gotta bear with me here. Sometimes I don't go live until I have like a sketch sort of ready. But this is This is the ugly stuff. I'm being real. It's not a cooking show. Curated Plastic says, do you sell your art on Whatnot? Isn't that for selling? Yeah, sometimes I do, if someone wants to buy it. So sometimes I'll be working on something that is already sold, not for sale. And then other times I'm working on something that in the moment you could buy it if you're interested. It's a pretty cool feature. It's kind of like, it's just like this, but it has a little bit of, I guess, like an eBay kind of thing to it as well. Making art is a messy process sometimes, but once you get it, it's all worth it. Once you finally land on a piece or a composition or something that you like, it just feels good. Watching that might not be as interesting or enjoying. So for anyone who's sticking with it, I appreciate it. Jasmine Wiki said, wow, a total reset, much like when Jim Lee erases an entire figure or even a page live on stream. That shows confidence, sir. Yeah, I don't know if it shows confidence or just indecisiveness, but yeah, Jim Lee's ability to erase stuff that is way more sort of detailed and finished than mine is pretty. That's pretty impressive, and also though a good reminder that it's all very malleable, and there's always another version that can be better. And if you're not feeling it, you can't fake the funk. It takes a long time sometimes to work on a drawing, and if you're not completely invested in the idea, it could be a painful experience. So you almost might as well take the time to settle on an idea that you like, and the rest of the process kind of just goes a lot smoother. Sometimes the longer or the longest part of the process is really just this part, iterating. And if this were for something more finished and final, I would have done thumbnails and all that. But I'm kind of just having fun with this, and part of it is the experimental sort of looseness of it. I'm glad you love the process stuff. Very cool. Curated Plastic. Paulus says, I erase all the time. No confidence, lol. Yeah, I hear you. Thumbnails help with that sometimes. Yeah, they do. Here's a bunch of thumbnails I recently did for this Absolute Wonder Woman sketch cover. So before I went on here, I kind of just was like thinking of different compositions and ideas and stuff like that, and I went with something that was more close to that. And it kind of helped me as a guide. And then I have a Fantastic Four sketch cover that I haven't drawn on yet, but this is sort of some of the ideas that I've sketched out for that. So yeah, thumbnails do help, and definitely when I'm working on something that's like very, very finished, certainly anything that's going to be published, I do a pretty detailed thumbnail process. Not detailed thumbnails themselves, but I guess rigorous thumbnail process. Sketch Monkey says, I just stumbled across this little vid, just what I needed Friday night at the drawing board. Absolutely love your art. Love your stuff, Thomas. Cheers from Perth, Western Australia. My son just read Y1 and loved it. Oh, cool. Thanks, man. Thanks for tuning in from so far away. That's awesome. And it's Friday night over there. It's Friday morning over here. So we're starting the day and ending the day with drawing. It's pretty cool. And yeah, year one is great. A classic for sure. Oh, thank you, Curated Plastic. Barvelo26 says, hi, Tom. Love your videos and your work, sir. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in. Jason Wiki said, yep, not to throw shade because I like some of his work, but it's a lesson Rob Liefeld could take once in a while, as he's known for long starting, as he's known, sorry, I can't read, for long stating that he never uses an eraser in his shows. Yeah, that's probably, hyperbole on his part. He's sort of he knows how to purposely kind of ruffle feathers and say things like that. I'm sure he erases. I actually like Rob Liefeld quite a bit as sort of like just a great marketer and interesting, fun personality. His podcast thing is pretty interesting too. But yeah, I know his work is very, what would you call it? Polarizing. Nicole A says, good morning. Love watching your work. So amazing. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate it. Good morning to you too. Paulus Art says, true about thumbnails. Composing all at once on a large board is a lot more challenging. It's very true. Yeah. Some people like to compose stuff smaller in like those thumbnail sizes that I was just showing. And other people, go straight, like Jim Lee, go straight onto the artboard itself. So it's really just a matter of what works best for your process. And yeah, and I don't know. Eventually, I need to start drawing something. So I'm going to maybe use that as a little bit of a inspiration jumping off point. We'll see. Or maybe it can be a mix of the two. Let's see. I just kind of saw something here. Like I said, this is the hardest part. It's kind of just wrestling with an idea. I promise eventually something will come out of this scribbling. I'm gonna get back to those comments in a second. I just feel like I need to get some things out of my system first here. Okay, let's see. So I'm trying to catch up here. Um, Curated Plastic says, "Are you gonna make sure slightly? Oh, are you gonna make Sue slightly invisible on that sketch cover?" Yeah. I have an idea for that. Stay tuned. Might be a certain type of homage. Brunson says, "Great to see you streaming. Thanks for all the great art and content." Thanks, Brunson. I appreciate it. Thanks for popping in, and thanks for the comment. Um, Barvello says, "Tom, as an artist, I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your decision about crafts behind comics." Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you for watching. I try to share things that I think might be of either some sort of assistance or just, inspiration mainly, from other artists. If it inspires me, maybe it'll inspire you as well. Sort of the hope. Yosef says, "Great, Thomas Patilli. You are remarkable. You are a great artist." Thanks so much, Yosef. I appreciate that. Jasmine Wiki says, "Oh, I'm sure he does, but I feel like he probably settles on a first draft more than one should. Some of his earlier stuff is good. He can draw well. It just doesn't always show." Yeah. It's sort of, there's that, discussion about like deadline style. And I think it depends on what kind of school you come from in terms of, philosophy on drawing comics. But yeah, something to be said too about just being able to crank work out, meet a deadline, and have it read clearly and resonate with fans. It's not going to please everybody, but certainly it's a skill in and of itself. Brunson says, "Hey Thomas, how awesome would it be to see Somni do a Spirit comic?" Yeah, I believe he did actually. I think he did a Spirit Rocketeer crossover. Am I wrong on that? Or he did a Rocketeer comic. You know what? I think he did a cover for a Spirit Rocketeer cover series that was drawn by somebody else. Maybe that's what it was. But back in the day, he actually did with Mark Waid. He did a Rocketeer comic miniseries. But yeah, man, that would be awesome to draw for him to draw a Somni Spirit, man. So cool. Darwin Cook did a really great Spirit run back in the mid 2000s or whenever that was. And yeah, that was great. One day I'd like to look at that on the channel for sure. I think that would be something that we'd all kind of vibe on. Paula says, I think it was Jack Kirby or John Mishima that said, throw away your eraser. The idea is you'll get quicker and better. They had massive workloads and deadlines. Yeah, it did come from that generation for sure. And their deadlines were pretty wild. They didn't have the ability to do what I'm doing now, which is just for a simple headshot to erase a million times. Um, Nor would they have to. But yeah, it's like the more you do it and the more you kind of get better, or the more you push yourself to be, fast and not precious about things, the better you'll get at it. Don't worry, things are. I'm not going to erase the whole thing yet, I don't think. I mean, I might, but sometimes I just like cover a piece of it with my hand so that I could kind of follow an idea. Omar says, how old are you, Thomas? I hope one day you. Interesting. How old am I? Boy, getting up there. I'm about to turn the big 2-0. Pretty wild. Yosef says, I'm waiting for you. We're all waiting for you. Thank you. Hopefully, you're not waiting too long. Hello, Aura Neil. Yosef said, you make the sketch smooth. Very good. Thank you. Jocelyn Wiki says, yeah, those guys had usually had two styles, a polished one for their best work and the deadline style. Jack and John definitely had tight deadlines when working on multiple books in their heyday. Yeah, that's for sure. It does seem like you could see in their work when they had more time, or when they were, collaborating sometimes with different finishers and inkers, and maybe their pencils were tighter. So, yeah, it's always interesting to see that stuff. And depending on my sort of mood, or I don't want to get the, depending on my mood and what I'm sort of like into that particular day, sometimes I like their, or I prefer their more looser stuff over the tighter stuff, and then vice versa. It really just kind of depends on what I'm sort of vibing on. Trashy Tribe says, what's up, Thomas? How are you, bro? What's up, man? Thanks for popping in. Nice work on your channel. I was able to catch one of your vids the other day. It looks like you're doing some good work over there. Keep it up. Curated Plastic says, I don't think I've ever seen a bad Kirby drawing. That's why he's the king. Yeah, he definitely made quite a few good drawings, that's for sure. Curated Plastic says, this looks clean, man. Good work. Oh, thank you. Justin Wiki said, Kirby was so good that even his deadline style got better as he got older. He's the king for a reason. Same with Buscema. Hit deadline style got more fluid as time went on. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love Buscema's work. He's, to me, like very much a classic illustrator. And when he draws quickly, it's like I don't know. There's a real nice kind of draftsmanship to it. Um, Dariush says, I'm having trouble with achieving smooth and fine lines in my inking. I use Pentel Pocket and pigment brush pens. Is this something that using a traditional sable brush could help with? Yeah, it could. The pens don't all give you like a nice long smooth line. Sometimes pens are meant more for shorter, smaller distances, and so if you want that smoother line that's going to last, a brush will certainly get you there, probably easier. So it really just depends on what it is that you're inking and the effect that you're going for. So yeah, give it a shot with a brush. It takes some time to learn. It's not easy, but you might find that it's easier than you thought it was going to be. When I was a kid and I found out that like people inked comics with brushes, I really couldn't even believe it. It didn't make any sense to me. I didn't know how it was done, and then eventually, when I gave it a shot, I found it to be not easy, but easier than I thought. So you might be pleasantly surprised. How do I want to draw her pose here? Curated Plastic says you're gonna suck with the traditional brush for a while. It takes a lot of practice. Yeah, it depends. Um, that is likely to be the case, or like I said, you could kind of surprise yourself. But either way, it's worth a shot. Treasure Trap says, "Bro, that Mr. Freeze is dope." Oh, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's going out soon to its new owner. Treasure Trap said, "How much is the mentorship?" Sorry, at work, so I'm getting bits and pieces. Oh, it's part of my Patreon. It's one of the Patreon tiers. So that's the third tier, hot, 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 and that's $100 a month. And so you get a 60-minute video call with me, and you get one of these in the mail every month. An original headshot drawing. So, and you get all the sort of perks that everybody else gets too. So it's pretty cool. It's been fun to work with people and you know, do what I can to help improve someone's work, get better insight into what it is that they want to accomplish, and um, can you see what I'm doing here? Thinking of somehow trying to add that cigarette in here, but I don't know what the best way to do that would be. I didn't necessarily want to draw a hand in this piece, but maybe it's gonna happen. All right. Jess Winky said maybe real brushes for inking as definitely easier to control than some pocket brush pens as the ink kind of overflows. You could try other brush pens with stiffer nibs as well. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I think a lot of people who haven't inked with a brush are less intimidated by the idea of a brush pen just because it's kind of got the word pen in it, and it feels like if you could control a pen you could control a brush pen. But you're right about that. I found that a regular watercolor brush is actually easier to control than a brush pen sometimes, because the brush pens, they are loaded with a fixed amount of ink, and sometimes it's hard to control. It's hard to control how that ink comes out, how much of it comes out, all that stuff. So, yeah, sometimes it's worth just jumping into the regular brush. And I found that when you get comfortable with a regular brush, you actually get better at using a brush pen, because you kind of know that with the similar with a regular brush, you're using parts of that brush. You're never, well, not never, but it's rare, especially when inking comics and illustration and stuff. It's rare that you're using the whole of the brush all the time. It's likely that you're just using the tip for a lot of that stuff. And so if you apply that approach to the brush pen, you find that you're really using very little, the very tip most of the time of the brush pen. There might be something happening here. Something coming along. It takes me a while, but eventually I do get it. Let's see. Curated Plastic says it's very rewarding. Brush inking. Dariush says thanks for the answer times. Oh, no problem. Forget what your question was. Hello. I can't say your name. That's too many letters. But hi. Jas and Wiki says the Tombow brush pens are also a good place to start with line control. They make a hard and soft pen for inking. Yeah, Tombow pens are great. Tresher Chab says we'll definitely check out that Patreon. Sounds dope. Yeah, man. Check it out. If you see anything that makes sense to you, let me know. And if you have any questions about it, also let me know. Let's see. Ramiro, thanks, man. Pizza. Hello from Peru. What's up? Pizza. Good pizza in Peru? I wouldn't. I'm not sure I would guess that, but you never know nowadays. All right, I gotta try to pronounce this name. Yehoy Sha. Yehoy, I'm gonna say, says, you are erasing and redrawing many times. How many times do you usually have to erase and redraw until you feel satisfied with it? You know, if there were a particular number, I would tell you, but there isn't. Generally 19 times. No, I don't know. It's just each piece is different, and sometimes I erase a lot, and sometimes I kind of just get it. Hard to really kind of control, but that's life. It's hard to control. Jasmine Wiki said, yep, definitely taking shape. It's coming together. Something's starting to happen here. Something's starting to happen. Curated Plastic says, do you have an opinion on Harry G. Peters' work? Huh. I don't know that. Doesn't ring a bell. Maybe I have seen it. I just, like, bad at names. What does he do? Always tricky to draw that angle, that like tilt of the head angle. But when you get it, it feels good. I don't think I've gotten it yet, but it's getting there. This is kind of like acting as my warm-up for today. This is the first thing I'm drawing today, so kind of just figuring out a lot of stuff in this piece and warming up as I go. Like I said, sometimes it comes easy, and sometimes it's not as easy. Dariush says, I know you're a fellow JRJR fan. Do you have a favorite era for his style? I think mine is the mid 90s, around the time he was doing Spidey and Thor. Yeah, that would be mine as well. Mid 90s into probably like the mid 2000s. There was a point there where he did a Wolverine run with Mark Miller, I think. So, yeah, there was a sweet spot there for sure. I love the Thor stuff. I think that might be my favorite of his Spidey stuff, just that whole time. And then there was something else. Oh, his much older stuff too, like the Daredevil, Man Without Fear, inked by Al Williamson. That was just really great stuff. Very different, but really great. Curated Plastic says first artist on Wonder Woman. I don't know who that was. Yeah, I'm not sure. Curated Plastic also said I really love JRJR run with Anna Senti on Daredevil. Yeah, I'm not really like familiar with that stuff. I'm aware of it, but I've seen some stuff online. But yeah, I don't have like a particular experience with it myself. I gotta check that stuff out. Treasure Trap says, have you done a lot of form studies? Um, of like masters and stuff like that. Some, not a lot. I've been doing in the last few years. I've been doing more studies than I ever have, and I found it to be very helpful. Like studies of other artists. It's a big part of my sort of like sketchbook practice. Sorry, I'm getting real quiet here. I'm just figuring out face stuff. Trying to get the face right, this angle. Um, let's see. Sorry here. Try to catch up. Curated Plastic says Harry G. Peter was the first artist on Wonder Woman. Sorry, I forgot to put his name. Oh, cool. That's who he was. I gotcha. I didn't know that. I don't know that name. I'll have to check some of that stuff out. That sounds unfamiliar to me. I've heard that those early Wonder Woman comics, I've never read them, but I've seen some like reviews on them that they're very strange, very strange storylines. So if you see here, I'm kind of like imagining what the other side of her face looks like, the side that I can't see. I kind of draw through that, and that helps me determine where things go on the side that you can see. It's kind of like a hard process to describe, but that's sort of what I'm doing. And I'll like slightly draw like the other ear back here and where the other side of her jawline is and all that. And it just kind of helps, particularly with like where things like are placed. Okay, sorry about that. How long, Curated Plastic says, have you been drawing professionally? Professionally, I've been drawing long time. I think I got my first professional illustration job in 2007. I believe it was 2007, so it's been that long. However long that is. Kind of sounds like a really long time ago, which is crazy to think. I know I said I'm turning 20, but I got an early start, I guess. I think that Trashy Trav says just form studies, as in being able to see things in space and put it on paper, like cylinders, cubes, etc. Usually, how people are able to draw from imagination. Oh yes, I don't really like do like shapes and stuff like that. I've seen that done like in art books and things like that, and every now and then I'll break down like an arm, for instance, or a hand into shapes like that when I'm struggling, as I am now. But because that's kind of like intuitively what winds up happening when you're trying to figure stuff out. You sort of have to kind of just break things down into their simplest forms. But as a practice, I don't like fill pages up like that in my sketchbook. Maybe I should. I think though, when you're trying to study and get better, it's putting those kinds of ideas and techniques into practice. So rather than just filling up a page like that in your sketchbook, I found it to be helpful in terms of like applying that to, say, a piece of the, form, the body. So like, how can you break an arm down into cylinders, and how can you break simple objects down into simple shapes? So I found that like learning is more, you absorb more when it's like applied to something like this piece right here. I'm it's a drawing of Selina Kyle, but ultimately it's really just a practice in drawing from my imagination, in testing my sort of ability to draw the figure at different angles and gestures and all that kind of stuff. So learning on the job, I guess you might say. And although this process sometimes it might look very tedious, drawing and erasing, there's something that I do like about it, because ultimately at the end of the day, I'm figuring stuff out. It's giving me an opportunity to kind of like work on stuff. This is really just kind of like me in my sketchbook right now. And instead of like filling up a bunch of pages, I'm just doing it all on this one drawing. Yehoy says, I listened to an interview with John Buscema, and he said sorry, he said he viewed his work as a job and not a passion, but it is a job he did with devotion. But e.g., Joe Kubert viewed it as a passion. Your thoughts? Yeah, I think I've seen that interview that you're referring to. I really find it interesting. Different artists' view of their own work and their own process and their own sort of like place as an artist, and the distinction between, say, a John Buscema and a Joe Kubert is very interesting because one puts sort of blends their profession and their passion together, and the other looks at it as, a job versus. I believe John Buscema kind of said that, he warms up for about an hour in the morning, and that's more pleasurable for him. That's sort of like just drawing. And then when he starts drawing pages, that's just work, you know. And he had no affinity for superheroes. He wasn't like, a fanboy himself. He preferred not drawing superhero stuff. He liked to draw Conan and more of the non superhero stuff better. But he was still always able to like do a really incredible job. He's one of the best to do it. So I don't necessarily think you have to be quote unquote passionate about the thing that you're drawing in order to do a really great job. And work, commercial work as an artist is work at the end of the day. And I don't know. There's a nice distinction there between the two. I guess there's room for both approaches, but certainly I don't think it's a requirement. I think we've been told that everything you do has to be like your passion, and you have to be super passionate about it. But that's just not realistic, and that's not the way anything gets done. If I had to like overgeneralize and give like a real just approximation, I would say as an artist, a professional artist, you'd be really lucky and very fortunate to do 20% of the professional work you do, to have that be stuff that is aligned with stuff you're passionate about, and then the 80% is sort of just like a job, not a bad job. We could be digging ditches. We're not doing that. So, but it's still a job. But yeah, if you have 20% of your portfolio being stuff that you really love to do and would have done for free, but still got paid for it, that's a great career. Andrew says, awesome style, very Bronze Age. I dig it. Oh, cool. Thanks, man. I guess that's sort of my era that I grew up in. Curated Plastic says, yeah, very strange. The creator and writer of Wonder Woman is the same man who invented the lie detector. He was in an open marriage with two women in the 40s and 50s. Wow, very interesting. I didn't know that. That's really weird. Funny. Curated Plastic says there's a movie about him called Professor Marston and the Wonder Women. Interesting. If you're interested in learning more. Wow, I didn't know any of that. Uh, Josh Greathouse says, using tone paper, are you going to play with the lights? Yeah, yeah, I am. I'm just trying to get the drawing part of it down first. And then the lighting part is kind of like the fun little reward at the end. Like, whoa, this is fun. It's kind of cool to bring things to life here. But I like that in the story, she's like, looking out the window. You get those lights coming from the street. So I kind of want to play with that lighting. I'm assuming there's going to be a light source coming from below in this piece. So that'll be fun. Curated Plastic says, wow, almost 20 years. Congratulations. Thank you. It is pretty crazy to think that it's been almost 20 years. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of, it's definitely not an easy ride, but, you know, eventful nonetheless, that's for sure. Okay. Dariush says, have you read, uh, I know that word, man. Uh, Coruscorigo or Coruscuro. I don't know how to say it, but the Angel Story by Ann Nesenti and um, Dave Mazzucchelli in Marvel Fanfare 40. I believe it was the last comic he did at Marvel before going on to his own thing. Great art. Yes, I've seen it. I believe that Cartoonist Kayfabe did a video on that. I think that's where I saw it. But yeah, interesting that was. I think there was one other thing that he did in a Marvel comic that was his like official last. It was sort of like a short story in a compilation or something like that, and it was kind of foreshadowing his later work, which became much more sort of, I don't know, alternative, for lack of a better word. Jasper Wiki said, you turning 20 years old? Gee, I never have guessed a youngin', lol. That's right. I guess I'm just mature for my age. 20. That means I was born in what? Um, what are we in? 2025. I was born in 2005. Yeah, that's me. I kind of got into this stuff. I'm into the older stuff. Mick Batman says, "Can you tell me what mechanical pencil that is?" It's this one, Draft. Sorry, that probably doesn't show. It's called Draft Line, point 0.7 millimeter, and there's an HB lead in it. Okay, so now talking about cylinders, this is kind of my cylinder practice today. Trying to break these hands down, or this hand and these fingers into simpler shapes so that I don't completely destroy them. I find the thumb to be the hardest part of the hand. Alberto, what's up? Curated Plastic says if DC ever relaunches Doom Patrol, then they should hire you for an arc. Man, that would be cool. I don't actually know much about Doom Patrol. I know they did bring it back, like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something like that, in an effort to, I don't know, be a little retro or something like that. But outside of that, I never read like the original Doom Patrol comics. Is that who would that have been as creators on that? Thomas, hello Thomas. Curated Places says, do you have a Mount Rushmore of creators? Oh, certainly, for sure. This guy would be on there. David Mazzucchelli, for sure. Alex Toth would certainly be on there. John Romita, John Buscema would be on there. Who else would be on there? Man. I'd probably put maybe Steve Rude on there. So many. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez would be on there probably. Okay, there's going to be a cigarette here. Don't you worry. There's another cylinder. McBatman says, hey, I'm 18. I want to become a professional comic book artist, but I don't know how to draw. How would you say I should start? I would start just by, getting a sketchbook and draw the things that you're sort of inclined to draw first. So that might be people, it might be action scenes, maybe action poses or people fighting each other, or maybe you're more into people sitting and talking and stuff like that. You find like your sort of like inclinations first in terms of what it is that you like to draw. Maybe you like to draw animals, things like that, and then as you go down that road, you will inevitably probably be, somewhat dissatisfied with certain results, and that will lead you to try and figure out how to do that better. And then from there, you will, seek out certain kinds of guidance. And then in that process, you'll probably be exposed to drawing things outside of your natural inclination. And that will force you to become a more well-rounded artist, and push your capabilities. And then you could take all that knowledge back to the things that you love to draw, and next thing you know, you're a professional artist. It's as simple as that. Josh Greathouse says there is a reason why Wonder Woman always got tied up. Maybe, perhaps. Josh Greathouse also said, I find with fingers, I think of them like a piece of cloth. So instead of drawing each one instead of drawing each one, what shape do they all make together? I think your thumb form points make them a little rounder and groovy. Oh, that's an interesting approach. Yeah, I like that. Think of it all as one shape. I like that. It's kind of like hair in a way. Thinking of it as like one shape first, and then kind of breaking it up into clumps. And what did someone mention in a comment recently? They said that I call them clumps and clusters, and they said there's actually a name for it. Blocks. That's a better way to put it. Blocks. But yeah, very, very good. I like that. Hands are tricky. I don't know why I made myself draw a hand in this piece. I didn't want to expose myself like that, but here we are. We can't hide, you know? We gotta just... whatever the drawing is kind of calling for, you gotta do it. Curated Plastic says Doom Patrol means you get to draw awesome, wacky shit. I don't know with original creators, but I follow Chris Burnham. He did a small miniseries in 2022, I think. Oh, okay. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. That seems more current than I remember, but interesting. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I know that they have that like Metal Man character in Doom Patrol. And was there a movie? Maybe there was a Doom Patrol movie. Alrighty. Jasmine Wiki says, in response, yes. Curated Plastic says, awesome. Rushmore picks. I love all those artists too. Very cool. Yeah, I would assume those artists would be on a lot of people's Rushmore for sure. Definitely some of the best to do it. I'm drawing on my artist edition here. We don't want that. Josh says, all of your knuckles are sharp. No other part of your art has those sharp curves. I think that might be your issue. Could be wrong. Yep, you're probably right about that. That's good. That's a really good point. I think that's probably from like overly thinking about it. Putting down like harder, sharper lines. Out of you tend to be more, the things you're more confident in drawing, you could be more like softer and nuanced with. So that's an interesting observation. Thank you. Let's see. Curated Plastic says, okay, said hi. Sade, what's up? I love your music. Josh and Wiki says, Mount Rushmore, it's a water park in The Simpsons. They always, Vinicius says, Thomas, great work. As always, any piece of advice for an artist stuck in a rut? I want to live off my art, but I don't know how to begin. Best wishes from Brazil. Oh, thanks for watching from Brazil. Man, it's hard to live off your art. I'll just be completely honest. It's a very difficult thing to do, and I wouldn't try to do it until you're very much already there. So whatever job you currently have, I wouldn't quit that. They say don't quit your day job. I certainly wouldn't, especially when it comes to art or anything creative, until you're very much ready, or not ready, but you're already doing it. Essentially, you kind of already want to have some form of job security with art before you're able to quit your day job. And even then, you're taking a risk. But so what was your question? I don't know how to begin. I think you kind of start where you are, and I don't know how confident you are in your drawing skills, or if your drawing skills are up to par. So maybe you need more sort of drawing advice than you do marketing advice and all that kind of stuff, because trying to become a professional artist and trying to become a better artist are two very different things. So if you're trying to become a professional artist, it's less about your sort of like drawing skills and more about like starting any other business, but hard, because it's very erratic kind of work and all that kind of stuff. There's no job security. All right. I think the smoke will be nice when I add the white in there. Curated says, oh, sorry, there's a conversation going on. There was a Doom Patrol TV show. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, cool. Thank you, Josh. Andrew says the hardest thing for me as an artist is exaggeration, more curves and greater expression. For instance, the smoke you'll probably draw off that cigarette will have a lot of style to it, curved around. Perhaps you're inspiring me to really now want to do that. Did I do that? Okay. Yeah, exaggerating. Yeah, I think that's hard for me too, for sure. Okay. Josh says, I have drawn millions of hands. They are always a pain, but nothing better than when you nail them. They add so much life uh, to them. Yeah, no, it's true. It's a very important part of the figure for sure, and a form of expression for the figure. So helps to know how to draw them. Um, I'm always still just trying to improve at that for sure. Okay, I'm gonna tweak this face a little bit, and then I eventually should really start like trying to finish this thing. Just getting inspiration from her face. I think I want to draw, let's see. Sorry for the noise out there. Some sort of leaf blower or something. Sorry, I'm getting lost in some of these facial features here. Let's see, where was I? Annabelle says, "Hola, I made some drawings of Catwoman too. Oh, very cool. I'm sure yours are better than mine." Andrew says, "I love drawing a good feminine, femme fatale character. So much style and personality. Eyes are super important, and you nailed it. Give her some mascara too." LOL. Yes, that's what I'm at that part of the drawing right now, actually. Josh says, "Oh yeah, do you have the Spider-Man strips artist edition? Amazon got X amount used like new for $55 with $5 shipping." Yeah, I keep seeing like really good sales on that one, and I want to just pick it up. There's a Barnes and Noble nearby, and there's also a it's not an artist edition, but it's pretty much an artist edition. It's like a collection of John Romita Senior Spider-Man issues that are just artist edition stuff, quality. I don't know why they don't call it an artist edition, and it's smaller. It's not an artisan edition either. But yeah, I've been wanting to pick that one up too. So it's hard. It's hard to keep up with it all. But all of that stuff I think would be really nice for the channel too. Thanks, Annabelle. Josh said also Act 4 just announced they are doing a J. Scott Campbell Danger Girl Artist Edition via Kickstarter, and Clover Press is releasing the old Spider-Man strips in a book too. Yeah, I saw that announcement about Danger Girl. That's going to be nuts. I will definitely be funding that. That's without a doubt. That's going to be crazy. I can't wait for that. I'm a big J. Scott Campbell fan, and to see that work in artist edition form, oh man, that will be a treat. Exciting stuff coming out for sure. Kevin says, "Hey Thomas, will you be inking this drawing today?" Possibly. This one has gone on kind of long, so we'll see. But regardless, maybe I'll come back for another live later today or tomorrow or something, and do it then, because this kind of went on longer than I thought. But sometimes it's like that. Like I said, this is for one of my Patreons at the $100 level on my Patreon. So one of the rewards of that level is that you get a drawing, an original drawing in the mail every month. So that's 12 originals a year, which is I think that's pretty cool. You also get a 60-minute video call every month with me. So if you're an artist, aspiring artist, professional artist, whatever, and you just need feedback on your work, or you have a very specific set of goals and things you'd like to achieve with your art, and you think I might be able to help you out with that, then that comes with that tier as well. So it's I try to give as much value for all of the tiers on my Patreon. So if you're interested, just check out my Patreon. It's somewhere at the link in one of my bios here or everywhere else, or you could just search Patreon Thomas Patilli. I think it's patreon.com/Thomas Patilli for the original. Sorry, that sound is probably very annoying. I no longer have planes flying overhead in my lives, though, because I moved, so it's a lot more quiet, but I guess there's always something. think that's why I'm also, in some ways, probably overthinking this piece a little bit, just because I know it's going to be for somebody. And anytime I send anyone original art, do a commission, something like this, I'm very, I want to do something really good, obviously, because I don't know. This might be on someone's wall or something like that. Andrew said you're doing a great job. The facial structure is on point. Cheekbones, turned up nose, nailing the tropes. The detail work will be appreciated. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's getting there. I think when I start to ink it and add the lighting and stuff like that, I think things will come together. But I just want to make sure this underdrawing is at least intact. I mean, just look at how he actually was able to get the lighting across with such scratchy lines. But it makes sense. You feel the lighting on that. And then, of course, that was reinforced in the coloring, but just so great. Uh, this was a great investment, this artist edition. That's how I look at artist editions, as an investment in just my education, improvement as an artist. Kevin says, by the way, my brother has a vast collection of Marvel first printed comics, all from the Golden Age: Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Iron Man, X-Men, and more. Any idea what they could be totally worth? I would have no idea. Yeah, I'm really bad with like the collector side of things. I kind of just, I get that stuff so that I could look at it, read it, stare at the art, really just to stare at the art. So I don't know like what things are worth. I go on eBay to find the best deal I could. I don't really care about like necessarily the quality. But yeah, it sounds like he's got some good stuff. I'm sure he could, depending on what kind of condition it's in, I'm sure he could get something for it if he's looking to get rid of it. Let's see. Thank you, Elmar. And hi. Dariush says, have you taken life drawing classes? I was watching an interview with Dan Panosian where he talked about how taking them reshaped his approach to art and contributed to the change in his style. Yeah, they definitely are. They could be transformative in that way, just getting you to that next level in your figure drawing specifically. I used to go a lot actually, much more regularly than I do now. I haven't gone in a really long time, so that's unfortunate. But I try to keep up with just doing warm-ups off of, photographs, second best. And oftentimes I do take my sketchbook, or I try to remember to take my sketchbook book with me in certain instances where I know there's going to be a lot of people around. So I like to sort of draw people in coffee shops and at parks where I can kind of, you know, disguise myself, or not disguise myself, try to not be creepy, but I don't want to also draw attention to the fact that I'm drawing people. So, yeah, I like drawing people, and that's kind of like a free way to draw people taking natural poses. It's just to draw people in real life, but it's tricky because they're always moving. But that's part of the challenge and the charm of it. But also, if you follow me on Patreon, last month our theme was to do just that, to sort of take our sketchbooks with us in different, just wherever. Since it's summertime, maybe you're at an outdoor concert, or maybe you're at a picnic, or maybe you're at a farmer's market or something like that. And if there's an opportunity to draw whatever it is that you see, to try and sort of take advantage of that. So that was sort of the theme and the challenge and goal of last month. And so I was pushing myself to do that even more, which was nice. It was a nice reminder. I'm really wrestling with this eye. Something about it isn't satisfying me. Stay warm. You're right, Dariush. You know it. That's what it's all about. This right here is kind of keeping me warm. This has been acting as my warm up drawing today. I feel I feel pretty warm after this. It's good. But I am gonna have to get going soon because I do have real work I need to do. So tweak this eyebrow a little more. Boom, boom, boom. All right, well, we came a long way from where we started, right? I don't know if anyone here was here from the start, but I think a few of you might have been, and it took us a while. It's nothing groundbreaking, but kind of took us a while to get here. Regardless, though, happy to have something down. And I'm already thinking about how the shadows might play out. Cast shadow. I love those Mazzucchelli scratchy lines down there. So if I could evoke some of that, that would be welcome. Just indicating some of my thinking about the light source or the lighting. Okay, let's see. Try to cash up here. Jocelyn Wiki says this is working. Don't erase the rest of it. I'll try not to. I think I'm content with it for now, and then we'll add paint and we'll add ink and see what happens. Josh, thanks for hanging with us. Thanks for hanging with me, man. I appreciate it. Andrew says, keep thinking cat, narrow, somewhat angular. That's what I always try to remember. The character behind the mask. Yeah, great, really great advice there for sure. I like that. Tresha Trav, if you don't mind me asking, how many tattoos do you have? I don't know. Not that many. I think all the ones that are most of the ones that you could see on camera are probably mostly what I have. But yeah, I forget that I even have them. All right, everybody, I'm gonna go, and I might be back to show you at least how it turned out, or to add the ink and the white on here. So thanks for watching. If you're interested, check out the Patreon. If you have any questions about that or anything else, feel free to get in touch. Here's a couple other things on my desk real quick. There's an Absolute Batman. Here's a commission that I recently finished, Mr. Freeze. Here's a sketch cover, Absolute Wonder Woman, that's actually still available. I have a few sketch covers that are still available. This one is obviously a commission, not available. This Absolute Batman will be available when it's finished. I'm kind of excited to ink that, do a little snow effect. I think that'll be fun. So if you're interested in this, reach out. Any kind of original art stuff, let me know. Commissions, all that. Anyway, Kevin, thank you, man. I hope to see you soon when I come back. I'll see you. Have a good rest of your day.